Peace and light, everyone. Peace and light. Welcome back to Deniese IncTRU podcast, where we shine a light on your truths and hold space for real conversations, real perspectives, and authentic expression through the arts. So, today's guest, we do have a musical artist who goes by the name BankBoi. Spelled BankBoi is spelled Bankboi. So he's originally from West Bank and now based in Texas. He is bringing with him a perspective that's shaped by culture, experience, and personal growth. Now, what stands out about him is his approach to artistry, how he values expression, creativity, and truth in its raw form. So, the way he carries himself and connects his craft, it all reflects the depth and awareness as well as his intention. So, he represents a blend of discipline, spirituality, and lived experience, all of which influence how he sees the world and how he communicates through his music. So today, we're going to have a real conversation and tap into his journey, his mindset, and his perspective behind the art as well. So, without further ado, let's welcome BankBoi to the Deniese IncTRU podcast.
How y'all everybody doing? Winston Lewis Marvis Jr., the gift from off a gate. Just to let you know, my name is Winston Lewis Marvis Jr. My artist name is Bank Boy. A lot of people know me from even on the West Bank and being New Orleans, uptown, downtown. You know what I mean? It's being had Imp. There's so many names, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people just know me for being Imp. My big brother they call me Wimp and be like, "Oh, you just a joke all me, Wimp, you Wimp." You just let's remember the Wimp Diary of a Wimp. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
and that city is something serious, man. My music, that's all I do, man. I just love music. I love the culture. I love what I do. It come from a strong bloodline of just straight music geniuses and just being in tune with just spirituality and the physical form in tune together. So what goes up, it comes down. What goes down, it goes up.
Yeah. Okay, so it seems like with your name, Bank Boy, and even your name in general, Winston, has a lot of meaning behind that. I wanted to go into that a bit further. So, like your last name, you know, I know that there are a lot of different artists, significant artists who carry your last name Morris. So, do you have any ties, or is there like any symbolism with all the parts of your name, your original name?
It's a many, man. My mom's like she loved music. I remember being in my mama belly. A lot of people don't remember like certain things. I do. Like I was in my mama belly, and she used to. And to this day, she'd tell me she used to have this speaker, and she'd put it to her stomach. And I used to listen to Shirley Caesar, listen to Lou
Yeah.
Rawls, listen to B.B. King, and Lou Rawls, Louis Armstrong. So my middle name Winston Lewis has been coming from Armstrong. That's one of the greatest trumpet players there is that run that trombone. If anybody
Yeah.
knew Louis Armstrong, he a music composer genius.
Yeah.
And my dad, he is being an Indian and Creole and things of that nature. It goes hard. It goes way beyond. It's like you can speak with the gods if you actually, the right thing. The tongue is a double-edged sword. You can speak life or you can speak death.
Yeah. Okay, so it does seem to carry a significance of, parts of your names, with having your dad's name, and Winston, and then, with Lewis, with Louis Armstrong. So yeah, that's a lot of great ties. There's strength in your name, your original name, and then even with your stage name, with your artist name. So I wanted to go into that, with the representation, of that a little bit further. So, being that your name stems with things, parts from your childhood, I wanted to talk about like your early environment, your childhood, how those spaces transition you or transition into your upbringing, including your growing up in in the parts of Louisiana or New Orleans that you came from. So tell me about your like Louisiana or West Bank experiences living in different environments and so forth.
I'm not saying that. Like, one thing I could say, they call bank boys is basically West Bank. You put West and you put the bank boys. You know what I mean? So bank boy, you have G and O. And going to New Orleans. So my mama's side is uptown, downtown, and anybody from New Orleans and anybody that actually been in that city. I'm not from Louisiana. I'm from New Orleans. I'm
Oh,
from New Orleans. I was born and raised 957 12th in Durban, in Gretna, Louisiana. That is, you know what I'm saying? My daddy, my great grandmother, my great grandfather, the Vitos, and you have the Morrises, you have the Loves, you have the Shepherds, you have the Taps, you have the Bernards, the bloodline and the family and the culture is so much that I learned from my great grandmother. So much I learned from my grandmother, my papa. Um, my name Bank Boy just come from holding down the West Bank, Harvey, Manhattan Boulevard. It's my grandfather. He worked in the postal office, and he a deacon, a preacher, and things of that nature. And my grandmother, she's an apologist. Um, excuse me if I just went from over, but when I think about my grandmother and the Loris Morris and things of that nature, it brings sentimental value. Like it touches certain bases for me. But I learned so much of value, and not just about me rapping. So you be like, well, you just rap. Nah, because I watched my grandfather play that piano. So I learned how to play the piano first. Then I learned how to play the trombone. Then I learned how to play the horn. Then I learned how to do a cadence. Then I learned how to read music, the music notes itself, So as being in elementary, I used to beat on the desk and always get in trouble. We were like, and they calling my mom, I calling my dad. My dad worked and they come in, he working at the Saints. He was a painter for the Saints. He worked at the Saints Dome and all that type of stuff, the Saints camp. That's what he was. My dad's a great guy. So I'm glad to carry on that title as Winston. You know what I mean? And at one point in time, I ain't like that name. But
yeah.
Winston is the most greatest name ever. So I was like, well, carry that title. Because my dad made music too. He sang.
Oh, okay. So,
So
so
it's been
your
in,
family's pretty talented then.
yes, it was in
Yeah.
church and things of that nature. So I sung in church. I sung in the choir. Believe it or not, I was in the choir singing.
Yeah. So
So a lot.
you're able to dabble in being able to sing, and
Yo,
then
yo,
with your artistry, with
yo,
lyricism, then you got all these
yo,
different talents going with your family. So it's already within you. You got this.
yo. Yo.
Yeah.
So it's kind of different because they be like, "Oh, I hear you rapping about the street life, and you rapping about this, and you speaking about that, you speaking about that," but like you just don't know. It's always like sometimes you have to go through something in order to know something. And I didn't
Yeah.
have no choice. Down there in the bottom of the map, you don't have no choice. Just survive. Either you survive or you predator or you prey. And that's just what it is in New Orleans. Early 80s, like, you know what I'm saying? Like even before us, before them, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I remember being in the Melphamine. I remember being in the Callio. I remember being, you know, in Harvey and Gretna. I remember these places to that fact as being a baby. They'll be like, don't buy the baby no shoes. They ain't gonna remember that when they get older. You know, that's
Yeah.
like saying, well, your great grandmother tell you, don't put no fork in that socket. You
Yeah.
know it's gonna shock you. You know it's a shock you, but you still do it though. You still gonna do it. You still gonna mess around. You still gonna put your tongue on that double D battery. Just
Right.
try to
Little daredevil. Just gotta figure it
yes,
out.
yes.
Just
For real.
Curious
Just it.
George.
you know, you learn value from off that. I learned from my mistakes. You know what I mean? And if one don't learn from mistakes, then it's how can one grow? So I took all my pain, I took all that, and I just make my music from off of that, from what I see, what I live, what I've been through, what I see, not just from in my shoes. I take myself from out of myself and place myself in the next person's shoes too, because you never know what the next person going through. And the
Right.
minute that one could have that vision to know what the next person feel, I may not feel what you feel, but I could relate to it. You see what I'm saying? So for me to actually put that down, I'm sorry that you have to cry. Dry your eyes. I know you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Have you ever seen an angel cry? We all did. We saw our mamas cry. We saw our daddies cry. We saw sisters and brothers. We lose too much out here in the cities. We lose too much of our own kind. They building bigger jails instead of building houses out here. They don't care. You know what I mean? It's just a system. But we have to still be adjusted to it. We ain't got to be in jail to be doing time. We are, it's just a modern day, another situation just to even be locked up. But our mind is free, our spirit is free.
Yeah.
If it makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So so there is a differentiation or a difference in state in Louisiana from New Orleans. So you are from West Bank, right?
I'm from New Orleans.
New Orleans. New
I
Orleans.
was raised I was raised on the West Bank and New Orleans. I was a get around person. I'm from everywhere down there. Uptown, downtown,
Yeah.
West Bank, LJS, light side, dark side, you name it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Across the
Okay.
track, everywhere. I was everywhere, everywhere. And shout out to my dude, Spoonie. He was one of the greatest mentors I had down there.
Yeah.
And still to this day, my big brother right now, my big brother, he's still one of the greatest mentors ever to me. And still to this day, he's still a German. No, you're breathing too hard. I remember my first time I recorded on the track, like you can't go, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
breathe, like you sound like family. Then you gotta breathe. I was like, I had to catch my breath because I was trying to get all my words out and stuff. He's like, no, no, bro, you gotta. And I did, and I just look out that window, and now it's like I don't need pen and paper. Just I learned at the Katrina that all the music that I ever wrote, they got destroyed. It got taken away from me.
Oh.
So I learned how to keep a memory bank.
Mhm.
So that will make it me different from without the pen and pad. A nice track in it. Because the track, the instrumental speak for itself. The person that's making the engineer that's making the track, they speaking from pain. They speaking whether joy or happiness or whatever level they on is speaking. That instrumental, that track gonna talk. And
Yeah.
I can get that vibe, that vibration, the frequency wave from there, and I can relate, and I'm just head on one take to me.
Yeah. So you're able to create your music from the dome. So you're able to do that without pen and pad. So that's quite a talent, quite a gift to be able to do that, have everything come to you right then and there and be able to create the way that you do. I've listened to a lot of your songs and I'm like, that's like you're really talented. I saw you do freestyles a lot too through social media and things. So you don't find too many as often that can still carry that skill, being able to freestyle and be able to do mass majority of their songs without having to write it down. So it's only a few
What's
that still do that.
what's kind of like
Yeah.
crazy is that most people think that I be writing. Be like, oh, boom, boom, boom. How long it took you to make this song? But you
Yeah.
know, because it's like listening to your ancestors. Like I hear my
Mhm.
ancestors speak. They
Yeah.
speak. You know what I mean? If we actually, it's like humble yourself, be quiet, and you hear it. No matter if
Right.
a painter. So I'm not a rapper. I'm an artist. And the definition of being an artist, you could paint. Everybody have a gift. You could paint. You could draw. You could poet. You could, you're a great
Yeah.
poetess. You know what I'm saying? Like you speaking spoken word, basically.
Okay. So it's kind of like your poetry, just in, the being able to do lyricism of it. So you don't have to write it down. You're able to do it like straight from your mind and listening to, like you say, being able to kind of in a similarity or, being able to
I
listen
call
to
it
your
a cipher
ancestors.
soaz.
A cipher soras.
Cipher soaz.
Okay. Well, that is quite a talent. Quite so yeah.
What's different?
What?
Without even having a professional studio, right?
Mhm.
A lot of songs that they about to hear that I'm about to release back to back. A lot of them songs, and really majority, really all of them came off my phone, Android phone. Remember, like
Yeah.
on my uncle, my uncle Amos, like this first CD ever I ever got was True Story.
Yeah.
BG Christopher. That was my first like when I first like even started making music and not really making music, but when I first was beating on the desk in elementary and shit like that. You hear me? It was a True Story, BG. His first mixtape he ever album he ever dropped.
Yeah.
Yo.
Okay.
That was the
Getting
that was
getting in trouble on BG. It's worth
I
the
was
risk,
selling
though.
heroin to the
It's worth the
teachers, to
risk.
the most. Yeah.
So I wanted to go over like your life experiences, just some things that occurred for you, like any transitioning as well with your experiences. So I did get to research some things about you and that were connected to your youth. So did you want to go? Can we go deeper into that? Things that occurred, life experiences from your youth, anything that helped you transition into who you are now.
Yeah, we can. Uh, first off, what did you find?
Mm-mm. Well, what I researched is that you had some experiences, possibly with like juvenile systems or jail. So I did want to talk
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
Um, I was young. I was like, you know what I mean, like just to visualize it, even just now, like you know what I mean, like just being like just a youngin, just I want to say mistakes, just being hard headed.
Yeah.
You know, you could have I had a good mom, good dad, and things of that nature. My grandmother and my grandfather and stuff. I think that what took me kind of like to that place was, you have a mom and dad and you see them argue, they could have separated. They've been gone for a little bit, separated from each other. And my mind frame went from like, I'm so used to seeing my dad, I'm so used to seeing my mom. So when my mom had went to North Carolina and my dad was like, boom. And I know my dad was he a street dude. He was one of them, like he gonna work his ass off, he gonna do what he gotta do with for his kids, for his family and stuff like that. My mom the same way. My mom she gonna bust her ass. She gonna
Yeah.
work, she gonna do what she gotta do, take care of children, everything. You know what I'm saying? So when they separated from each other and they had that little separation, my mind frame went to straight up survival mode. Like, hold on,
Right. Kind
what I
of
gotta
like
do
I gotta
now?
take care of
Like,
the
you heard me?
family
I ain't
now
got my
type
mom right
thing.
now, I ain't got my dad right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I'm supposed to do? So when it came to me, it's like only thing I knew was just straight up like, by all means. You know what I mean? So that by all means could be a 10-second decision could lead to 10 years. Or a 5-second decision could lead to 5 years. A 1 second decision could lead to 1 year in jail behind some shit that, that you shouldn't have did, but just like, but well, I gotta get it by all means because this is what I'm used to. I have to put clothes in my bag. I gotta put shoes on. I gotta eat. I gotta do this. Gotta do that. Gotta do this. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, when in the juvenile system and stuff like that, I never been through the juvenile system like that. I did, but I never went like incarcerated in the juvenile system. I was a little juvenile, and they sent me straight to the as like a skate straight program. You going to Angola? We gonna show you.
Yeah.
We're gonna show you. You going to Angola, Camp J. We gonna show you what your uncles and you heard me. The life is at. You keep
Yeah.
on living this type of life. You heard me talking about you won't be in. You know what I'm saying? You running the streets. You doing this. You doing that. You doing this. You doing that. Every year came by. You ain't gonna live to see the next. The next day, the next year. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I learned that being by yourself, like you heard me, you can reflect off a lot of things, like in the decisions that one can make. That's why I do. I really, I'm gonna say I'm a preacher, but I speak as being that a 1 second decision. You want to hurt somebody, you want to hurt yourself. You feel me? Reach out to somebody because that 1 second decision could lead you in the place that you don't want to be at with the lights off, and somebody gotta. I don't want to listen to nobody, but they got them people up there sitting there. They tell you when to take a shower, they tell you when to do this and the other. But I went from that, and then I went straight to to the prison. There ain't no county jail down there. Ain't no, you hear me? You got like county
Mhm.
jails, you got like parish prisons. No,
So
it's
they got them
prison.
all like in a cluster down there in New Orleans,
New
right?
Orleans,
Yeah.
OPP, Orleans Parish Prison.
Mm-mm.
JPP, Jefferson
Yeah, all
Parish
together.
Prison. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
There's prison behind there. Ain't no county jail. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
yeah.
prison. You in
It's
there.
like
You in there
it's
with a
straight
wave
there.
band. Like I got that wave band on. I got a Rolex on my wrist. You heard me? You hear a lot of my music, you hear me say, I got that Ray band on my wrist, I got a rolling on. I ain't talking about no $30,000, $100,000 watch that got diamonds on. I'm talking about I'm
Yeah.
looking at
Okay.
years.
Okay.
That's
It
it.
makes sense now.
We're looking at 100 years
Yeah.
right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For real, bro. I'm looking at basketball jersey numbers like it ain't no play. It's just real. I got a Rolex on. I ain't
So
coming home.
so you had quite the experience. So you did have that as your life experience, being able to almost like you grew up fast, really. Having to ha- yeah, having to go through that as a reflective moment, for you to
I would
experience.
I would say that I lived my life backwards. As being a
Yeah.
kid, like, certain things as being a kid, you have to learn fast, especially down in the city. In New Orleans, you gotta learn fast. You gonna be a man, and and it's not about the gender. You feel me? If you're a lady, you better be a woman quick.
Yeah.
But you gotta be a soldier. It's not you have to be a warrior. You better be about whatever that's going on, because if you're not, then you fool. If it makes sense.
Yeah.
You're gonna eat
So it's
or
kind of
get
like being a
eaten.
prey or a predator.
Prey or predator.
Yeah.
And sometimes you ain't even got time to pray. You got ain't no time to even drop down.
Gotta go straight
Lord,
beast
thank you
mode.
for thank you. Lord, take me. You know what I'm saying? And boom. But like I ain't ready to die. Boom that. You hear me? Look, you just like
Yeah.
me. You put your jeans on just like me. You walk like me. You talk like me. You eat like me. You dress like me. You just like me. No, you ain't taking me today. It's gonna be me or you up in this motherfucker. Fuck that. You hear me?
Yeah.
Fuck that. We
Yeah.
gonna get along or we not. One of the two.
Is eat or be eaten, huh?
Hell yeah.
Okay. So
That's real.
I also wanted to go over like some different things when it relates to like the cultural elements. Some of the things that may have helped with like identity, or your shift into that. So when people think about New Orleans, the first thing they think about is the dance and things like that. They have so many ties to the music and jazz. So those are some of the things that we first think about. So what I wanted to know is how has the New Orleans culture shaped your identity as both a person and then also as an artist?
Kermit Ruffin.
What?
Kermit Ruffin. He the
Oh,
truth. Trombone shorty.
yeah,
Um, it goes to the culture in New Orleans. If I know a lot of people been down there. You could say I'm not from Louisiana.
yeah,
No disrespect, like I love Louisiana, but I'm from the bottom. Like New Orleans is a total different place. You go down Canal Street, you're gonna see the Hot Eight, the brass band, the Rebirth. You know what I mean? You go down Canal Street, you go down Bourbon Street, you're gonna see them playing. You
yeah,
go uptown, you go downtown, you're gonna see them Indians coming. You're gonna see the little kids dressed up. You're gonna see Big Chief. I'm Big Chief, pretty. I'm the one they talking about. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You could feel it inside of you. And in the only way I could explain it is you had to actually be there to actually feel that rhythm, because you just feel it when
yeah.
it,
I
it
bet
just
that's so
run through you.
exciting and thrilling to experience. Like just being down there. I've always seen it from a distance, being able to watch it on different platforms and things, and hearing people talk about it. But to actually experience it, and I've seen to where the big, beautiful costumes and the
Yes, yes,
Indians. It's
yes,
just
yes, yes.
so
I'm pretty
beautiful, so
pretty.
much
I'm
art.
big pretty. I'm the one they talk about, Big Chief.
Yeah, yeah. And
Spy boy.
it's so much I don't know, it's just so much power and stuff into it. Just seems so passionate about doing it. I've seen even when they go through funerals and things, like even the funerals have
You
pizzazz. I'm
know,
like,
it's
wow.
it's about just we celebrate
Yeah.
it. We
Celebration.
don't mourn, because mourning is the worst thing. Like I don't understand why some people be like, "Good morning, good
Yeah.
morning." What's good about morning? Ain't
Yeah, it's
nothing good
nothing good
about
about
morning.
morning. Yeah, see, I had to change that up. Some years ago, I had a friend that was telling me, I stated it to them one time, and they were like, "Mourning? Why would I need to be mourning
Morning,
the day? What did I got to
celebrate.
mourn about?" And I'm like, why'd you say that? And it's like, and then they broke it down and tell me what it meant. And I'm like, dang, I don't think I ever want to say that again. You have to, after
Grand
you really
rising,
understand it.
grand
Right,
rising, good day. You know what I
right.
mean? You have a
So,
blessed day today, blissful day, because blessing is
right.
only meaning be lessened.
Right. So
You
like
know,
every day what I would do, I would kind of switch it up. So at first I was taught what the grand rising meant, and then I'm like, you know what, today, like, I kind of go with the mood of what the day is, like grand rising, abundant rising, wealth and rising, like, because those things are actually how I felt. Those are how I want to manifest throughout the day. So yeah, hearing people say good
and
morning, I'm like, yeah.
I do remember too being in the city. You had the super fair. You had, it was the carnivals and things of that nature. You see Mary LaVue. If anybody know Mary LaVue, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I've heard about,
one of
yeah.
the, so you had the carnivals and stuff like that. The city is based on of great food, Creole cooking, the French and things of that nature, the beignets and gumbo
Oh
and
yes, beignets.
yakamine. If they don't know what
Mhm.
yakamine, like yakamine is a soup. It's one of the, it's
Yeah.
soothing for the soul. It's healing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It
Okay.
goes long. It goes longer than the streets with no dead ends.
All right. So, I also wanted to go over some other things, kind of when it relates to your personal life. So, I did want to ask. So, how has fatherhood shifted your perspective on your life and the way that you move? And how many children do you have?
I only got to have three kids, two girls and one boy. Anisha, Jasmine, and Zion.
Yeah.
Um, well, fatherhood is being after all the mistakes I made from being incarcerated, almost in and out of jail, mostly my whole life. I'm 44 now, so if nobody never knew that, I know I look the way I look, but I just look this way. Um, it take to that point where cherish what you like, cherish every second, cherish, because if you don't cherish, time moves so fast, you would never get the opportunity to actually spend time with those that you genuinely love. Um, I looked dead straight in his face, came back, and I'm grateful to actually still be here and still be breathing. But with my daughters, very beautiful. They grown now. My son grown up. Like, I miss so much of time with them, um, that I can't get back. You know what I mean? So when you it structured me to that fact through even through my music, I take all my pain and I make the greatest things I could actually make from out of pain. Cause you take sometimes pressure, it builds it it make diamonds. You have to go through fire. You have to get that pressure in order to get that structure that you actually need. And chastising and going through what you have to go through as being a man and becoming a standing man. So, with that being said, I mean, I love my kids with all my heart. You know what I'm saying? I know they love me with all their heart. And I'm grateful for having them. Certain things I would speak on, but I can't speak on. But Yasmin, I love you. Anisha, I love you. And Zion, I love you.
Mhm. Well, yeah. It's good to have children, like with my oldest ones. They don't live with me, but I've always been like a major part of their lives. Most people know my story, my backstory, so I can definitely relate. Being knowing, you know, having chunks and pieces of where you may have missed some opportunities um, in your children's life, but as long as your heart is still there and still trying to make an impact in some way or transition
I don't want
through
to
life.
cry. I don't want to cry. I won't shed no tears right now. I don't want to shed no tears right now. That's that heart right there. That's that make your heart beat. The reason I'm still breathing, the reason I'm still going.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. Um, well, continue to continue to try your best, and that's all you can do. All right. So next, I did want to talk about relationships as well, because I'm pretty sure the ladies want to know. Definitely know they want to know.
Only thing I can say about that, I have never been married. Is it? I'm not married. I'm not
You know.
married. I have never been married.
Yeah.
Next question.
I'm too sick of.
Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. I never been married. Next question. Next question.
So I've heard you state before about the word warrior. So what does it mean to be a warrior? What do you mean by that when you say warrior?
Protection.
Yeah.
Being a warrior is protection. You know, it's not just flesh. It's more spiritually inclined with the universe. If you know, it's something that you just don't wake up to know. "Well, I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. I'm this. I'm that. It's like one saying it real. We're not knowing the definition of warrior. It's the protection of the women, the children, of self, being that one, that guidance, to actually not just loving yourself. You put yourself before that person, have to protect you. I go out before that person goes. Being a warrior, I go to the last of my breath beyond. It hit different.
Yeah. All right. So also wanted to ask about like legacy. So in regards to legacy, what legacy are you trying to build? Um what can you say through that?
Um, Take one day at a time. One day at a time, and generational growth, to be able to live and leave something for, not to leave something, be able to celebrate with those that you genuinely love. That's a
Mm,
legacy. Okay, it's no celebration in death, a celebration in life. And it's a difference between that. So that's what my brand and what I want to be for mental health, those that's going through things. There's always somebody to reach out to. Never feel like you're alone. Never feel like you by yourself. Never feel like the universe is that heavy that you're trying to carry by yourself. Know that somebody there, you have a bridge.
yeah.
Somebody there helping you to build that, to stand with that structure that help you hold it. It's never
Mm,
heavy. Somebody help you hold it.
okay. So legacy is to be able to have someone, or to have someone to create that bridge, continue on with that bridge, and then to help you carry it.
Because it wasn't built by itself.
Yeah.
No one could do nothing by themselves. And the minute that one understand that or understand it, because we can't understand anything because that's under and standing on something that's under. The minute that one understand it within inside of self, to know that I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I have one. I have somebody that cares too. Because I care about myself as a reflection of self. You are me. I am you. Generational wealth. I would treat you as well. I treat myself as a reflection of those.
Yeah, I've never heard it stated like that before. The difference between understanding and understanding. That makes way more sense the way you explained it. So, well, that's good. So, legacy to you is basically being able to have someone to continue it on, with that bridge carrying it on. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Next, or with our final question, I did want to go over. So being able to encourage someone else. So with our show, especially for our Serene Saturdays, we try to tie in things that deal with visual, performing arts, mental health, behavioral health, being able to balance those things. So we always like to end it off in closing with something related to that, related to someone that may need a little lift, encouragement, or within a similar place that our guest is at. So, what I wanted to ask was, what would you say to someone who feels like they're still trying to find their own way. Like, what would you what would you say to anyone like navigating similar challenges to what you may have gone through, or trying to see growth, or trying to find some type of direction?
What I can say is, I was diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic, bipolar one manic, depression, and things of that nature. And what I can say is, follow your heart,
Yeah.
follow your spirit within inside of you. Listen to the inner voice of you. Don't let nobody else tell you that you're wrong. Don't let nobody tell you that you can't understand and understand that you shall and you will, and you can overcome anything, all obstacles. Um, in other words, it's being, if I can, I don't want to get too deep and sound like a preacher, but if the Most High created all things, right?
Yeah.
What that makes you as a child of the Most High. And I don't want to get spiritual, not to get biblical, but what that makes you light, that makes you darkness. So embrace that pain. Don't just always be, well, I'm glad of this or that or this, that, the other because things going good. Sometimes we have to break ourselves down and he'll sit us down. We'll sit ourselves down to that fact and just say, I thank you for the struggle. I thank you for this complication because I first had to understand it, then I had to find a solution. Now I got knowledge. Now I got wisdom. So understand yourself, challenge yourself even more, believe in yourself, follow your first mind. Don't let nobody never tell you nothing different. You are great. You are the truth. And you forever. And you will find your way. No matter what, no matter how dark it get, no matter whatever come your way, you can overcome it. Speak it to existence. The mind is the most powerful thing. The tongue is the confirmation. You can speak what you want to existence.
Okay. Well, that is definitely something to put and guide into you guys' journey. Um, being able to understand and being
And I
able
do have something else.
yeah.
And being on a street level to my youngins that be out here in the street sometimes and you hustling and doing this, that, the other, it's not worth it. It's three ways in and it's three ways out. When I say three ways in, it take a male and a female to create a baby. Life, birth, death. Life, birth, and death. Birth is meaning that's the navigation side of it. Because you have to find your way. And death, when you're doing it wrong. And then death means so many different terminologies. Death can mean no longer in the shell, and death can mean you owe somebody you have to pay back.
Yeah.
Death.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Makes sense? So be blissful and always wake up every morning. Tell your loved ones, look up and look in that mirror and look at yourself very well and say, I'm proud of you. I love you for you. And I guarantee the day always gonna be great. No matter what we face, no matter the depression, we all have our ups, we have downs. But if you continue to believe within your higher self, guarantee you'll be all right.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. For our listeners and for those that's trying to navigate through their challenges and continue to grow, find their own direction. Well, it looks like that's all that we had to go over, and I thank you so much for
My
sharing.
last thing, if
What's
nobody else believe in you, I believe in you.
yeah.
Teamwork make the dream work. I believe in you. Nobody else believe in you. I believe in you. We are one.
Indeed. Well, I am going to close out with that, and I thank you so much for coming on to
thank
the
you.
show. You're
I thank
welcome.
you. I have so much more to say, but I thank you for to inviting me to the show and actually meeting somebody that's actually great. You are wonderful. You're a very inspirational person. I thank you so much for everything and all things that you're doing, and I'm gonna continue to support you.
Texas, you heard me? You all in your feelings, I'm bitch. Whole little bitty bitch. It's cool, you heard me? You heard me? Man, yo, you know I'm coming, you know what I'm talking about, you heard me? Respecting this shit, never pass. You heard me?
Probably never thought he ever make it till he made it. Started out local, saying yo, Blue Nation. See the scene, them haters' faces. Young nigga, paper chaser, wave facer. Hard blocks, hard nights, hard days. Look, mama on her knees, just see the scene, her face. Praying that I change my ways. Then again, who are you to tell me something different? All I had with my pen and pad. Clocking in, ain't clocking out. Hustle this, is hustle that. Soldier rag around my neck, got run around my fucking yeah. Way band, now I'm getting processed. Ain't that a bitch judge? Got a grudge, shit. I couldn't reach my arms out. Gorilla flow, beating on my fucking chest. Yeah. Only if you know what a nigga been through. Express myself over these high hats. Repercussion beats. Probably never thought he ever made it. Till he made it. Started local, same hustler. Blue Dog Nation. Should've seen them haters' faces. Cold nights, I was sleeping on the sofa. Used to wear the same clothes, same shoes. They was smiling at me, laughing at me, laughing at me. Put $1 million on my shoe before I recognize the mileage on the dash of the coupe. Doors lifting up, seats popping out, doing 3